you guys, so let's get this ball rolling here. So this is Nick Cox. Nick is one of our producing agents. Super good guy. So if you guys have any questions, Nick will be available for you too. Don't forget, we're trying to add contacts to our database, and Melissa and Nick and Christy were all three people that you could have got their contact information and helped yourself get to those 10 contacts pretty easy. So make sure you're collecting that information. So Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you like to do. Tell us what kind of business is your favorite, and why you got into real estate in the first place, and why are you still in real estate? What do you got?
I think it's like my 8th year. Real
Eighth year?
estate, originally. I was working for the state and, I didn't like somebody telling me where to be, how much I was worth. Kind of always loved real estate since I was a kid, growing up in Southern California. Things I'd like to do real estate wise,
Mm-hmm.
well. Buyers, like first time buyers, seem to be happy. Listings are obviously king for growing a business and staying in business is having a listing. Lead gen, cold calls, Facebook ads, things like that.
Yeah. Why are you still in real estate after 8 years? Because most people are out of real estate by 8 years, right? So why are you still in? What's your favorite part about real estate? What's your motivation to stay?
I think it's just the ability to grow and there's no cap on what you can do in the business. It's just more of what you're willing to put into it to achieve what you want, putting your head down and doing the work, doing the things that are gonna generate business, not making excuses, which that's kind of my year of, me and Brian talked about it, and why I haven't grown over the last couple of years, and the reality of it's me, I was the problem. Wasn't anything in my life that was a problem, it's me, so.
I can like whip my hair back and forth like this.
Yeah, right?
It feels so nice and I feel
Yes.
great.
So, again, kind of the same thing, like growth and the ability to help people, right? We're gonna hear that over and over and over and over from our agents. But I want you to understand that, in order to last in this business, there's only a couple things that are gonna keep you rolling, right? And these are folks that have been in the business for a long time and have made it over the hump, made it through the difficulties of, learning and the difficulties of getting over the hump, and then are making it to the other side. So, we just want to make sure that you understand the different personalities in real estate, but we're all kind of here for the same thing, right? So, you guys have any questions, let me know.
Thanks. I just want to interrupt.
I don't want to get in Josh.
You just did,
Okay, cool. I just need to use the TV and the table at this pool for like 20 minutes.
right here.
Is that cool? Or is it in the way?
We're starting.
Oh, I thought you said you were breaking for lunch.
No, we already did.
Oh, you already broke lunch. Okay, cool.
I'll put you on to another one here. So let me get this guy up and running and get Nick going here for you guys,
I
okay?
thought you were kind of jumping that.
Hilarious. Oh,
She's here and then Matt shows up. I'm like, all right, this is.
Yeah, I know.
This is not for me. Maybe I should take off and I should go to work. Until you're not.
Not saying anything, you have to be brave.
Same with me. If I go quiet, it's.
Okay, let me just check our Zoom world here. How are you guys doing? Right, and I'm just checking that camera and make sure. Hey, super. Hi, guys. And then we got the clicker here and,
All right, let's go.
all right, let's do this thing.
All right, session 6, grow your database. So you guys just got done with Melissa, right? Just did the lead gen. So you got through the lead gen, but the second piece to that is where you're gonna store the leads that you get, which I honestly, lead gen is extremely important, but more importantly is putting those people somewhere so that you know how to get back and hold of them, in touch with them. So,
So at this point, we just got done, like he said, with generate your leads with Melissa Hernandez. Lead generation, this is the next module in our session. And now we're at grow your database.
So today's agenda is build your database, communicate with your database, recap. Wait, did I go over this yet?
Yeah, it's a smart data.
Smart bank,
Mhm.
feed your database, service your database, and your daily success system.
All right, so can we have someone here? Go ahead and read this quote for us.
Your database is your business, building up the number of names in it, and efficiency of those names is particularly at your hand. Very important for building the real estate business going out.
Excellent. So.
Yeah.
What does this?
Yeah.
Kind of like, what are your thoughts on this?
But, you see it,
Let them marinate. I know you guys are eating. How about you guys on Zoom? Can you give us some insights on, what do you think?
Your database is your business, right? I always kind of think about it, it's like, if you're on social media, right, you click on an ad and it retarget, you're in their database now at that point, right? So. Your core of your business is your database, for an example, if you have no database, which I put in Google Sheets, Excel, stuff like that, you can take that. Convert it into a CSV file and upload it into like all of Command, right? We'll use Command because they're really done, or any other platform, right? But if you don't have that, your database, then you don't have the ability to transfer that into another platform, or also, have their names and their phone
Right.
numbers and their email addresses, et cetera.
Do I?
I don't know, maybe,
Yeah.
possibly.
Close on. Try it again. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
There goes.
So
I'm all.
your like I was saying before, your database is like an area where it's gonna hold all the people that you guys have come in contact with. It could be relatives, it could be clients, past clients. Pretty much anybody that you guys talk to are real estate, right? How many of you guys have a database?
I started them in on the, we're not gonna do.
Okay. How many people have you guys got in there so far?
I haven't put everybody on my. On, but I think I have like 50
That's good.
that I, typed in.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good start. Let's keep adding to it. And that's not necessarily always the quantity, it's the quality inside of your database, because you could have 5,000 people in your database and, 80% of them are garbage. I'm not saying they're garbage, but I'm just saying in reality, right?
Yeah.
And then let's also touch on like how we differentiate people in our database. Like leads versus contacts.
Right.
And Nick is absolutely an expert at connecting with people. And so what do you guys think is the difference between a lead and a contact?
A lead is somebody that, that's self-explanatory, it'll lead you to business, right? The contact is just somebody, you have their number, you have information.
Yeah, so ultimately, yes, so leads are people that you are looking to connect with, but you haven't necessarily met face to face. Contacts are people you've already met. And they're people that you are starting to build a relationship with. So that's important to know that differentiation, especially in your database. Okay.
Yeah.
We're tag teaming this one.
Yeah,
I'm
it's,
sitting back
it's,
here.
it's good. I was reading this last night, so. Some of the, it's saying on here, some of the top agents, work directly in their sphere of influence, either sphere of influence, which, thanks, buddy. Which I do also know agents that are, they do really, really well just staying with inside of their influence. Yeah. Did I hit something wrong here?
I think we skipped one.
I might.
Go
have skipped
backwards.
one.
Yeah, there
we
you go.
Okay,
And I'm gonna move this.
okay, so turn your lead generation and database model page. Do their. Can you quickly review this model? And can someone explain using the model where the database is represented, lead generation, relationship management, or client and referral loop?
You get the information,
Right.
and then you have a, you start to build relationships from that, which become contacts, which leads to create a referral. Referral becomes
Right. Depending on how you do business, right? And if you work with the people that you're working, with, which then it could in turn, like for instance, I had a guy coming from Japan and he's an operator for the Black Hawk helicopter. So he rides the pilots and does all the technical stuff in there and did a good job with him. And then his buddy was coming in, which is the same position, also the operator Black Hawk. Just closed out a place for him. And then his buddy came in from Japan, which is also an operator coming back out to here. And then, so it's like you said, it's like referral to cycle. You have anything to add, Sharon?
No, you're doing great. I just like to like ad lib. You're
like
doing
it.
great.
I like it. So it just a database keeps organized so you can run your business effectively and efficiently. A database keeps your comprehensive record of communication and the relationship through systemized communication. Database helps automate other tasks. A well-maintained database holds value and can be sold if you choose to retire or close your business. So how do you guys feel about that? Like, what does that look like for you if you to build a database? Let's say you spend the next 10 years and just focus on making sure you have this really clean, tight database. I mean, there's people, so I'm not gonna mention the person, but sell your business for $500,000 to $700,000 for your book of business. I mean, that does take place depending on the size and so this kind of gives you the importance of how important a database is for you guys to really, and that's something I didn't do at the beginning of my career, and I didn't realize how important the database was until I started moving into the, further into the business, and I'm like, oh wow, that was stupid. That was really stupid of me not to build that because now when we're getting into it, that should be the most important thing from the beginning is starting to build that database because then you could go off the database to help propel your, career. Let's see. So how many of you guys are in command right now?
I'll be Rebecca.
Okay, so how many of you guys are in command right now? Okay. I can't speak from experience because I do the bare minimum in command, and that's not because it's not an amazing system. I know the capabilities of it. I just haven't gone off of what I do, kind of had my own CRM website, lead gen, all this kind of stuff that I've been doing. But I definitely encourage you to obviously get into it, learn it because it is free. And I know that they're continuing to advance it to make it more easier for me. And then you have Sharon, you have Brian's like literally for that. So, we can support, but
Yeah, and everything here we touched on yesterday as well, saying, what a great tool this can be. I mean, there's no need, your database is really, wherever you keep it, your CRM, whatever that is what works for you. So why not use what's being offered?
Yeah.
Especially when you're new and just starting out. And then just to touch on what we said yesterday, basically Command is a database. It's holding that information and gives you the ability to take notes on each of your contacts. Which is really important. That way, like Melissa mentioned, like, oh, how's your dog Fluffy? It had surgery, whatever. Then they feel like you remembered. It's also a goal tracker. So you enter goals for yourself and are you keeping up with it? It's great for accountability. It's a task manager. It helps you to like definitely look, okay, oh, that's right. I need to follow up with so-and-so. It's marketing suite. It has the ability to push out newsletters, and other mailers, presentations, social media posts. And it's your referral network too. So it gives you that ability to connect with other KW people worldwide.
And it's, I mean, the saying is, the best CRM system is the one that you use.
Right.
I've had one for years and didn't really use it to its potential, and over the last 2 weeks, have really refined it and went through every single lead that I've had in there and got a listing of it. So, I mean, it's not, there's gonna be a bunch of shiny objects, breaking stuff, for people, oh, this one's great, use this one, use this one. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's the one that you use and it's the one that you get familiar with and you stay consistent on it. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of CRMs and things, but if it's free and then you have people in here that can support, help you build that. I mean, in my mind, that's like the best one that you can use. Okay, so turn to the 4 laws of your database. Okay, so it's why using your database, remember your database is your business. And let's talk about you'll make it happen, the 4 laws help your database and business thrive are the same stuff. Yeah, build database, feed it every day, communicate systematically and service all leads. Do you guys like, as far as like the servicing leads, like what would that mean to you? Or what that you guys were to say, like, how do you service leads? Like, let's say that you have some gal that you met at, I don't know, coffee shop or whatever. And she was looking and talking about hospice on her house this year. Like, what would be some type of a way that you service that lead?
Following up with her, writing information.
Yeah.
Are you still looking? If you, in talking to her, if you know what she's looking for, you can, oh, I found this thing on that.
Right. Another good way too is if, let's just say she's like, oh, I've gotta sell this year, I've gotta sell this year. You can always, once you get their email, you can also set them up. You look at, see what type of home she has, and then set her up on a search that has those same type of homes. So when she gets these emails, she can see the home and say, oh, wow, that house sold for $500,000. And that's only a 3-bedroom, mine's a 4, that's only 2-car garage. And so what it ends up doing is that thought process of, her thinking about or wanting to sell the home, it's just constantly centered this for sell, right? And so it's gonna help mentally trigger her probably sooner than later if she wasn't getting that information or running a comp for her and saying, hey, I haven't talked to you for a couple weeks. Thank you, Melissa.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
He's right. The more you show them houses, the more the brain gets
Yeah.
triggered.
So yeah, just anything that you can keep in front of the lead, even if it's a comp, do a comp. If you haven't talked to him for 2 or 3 weeks, been letting you that are in a business, say, hey, I just want to stop by and I want to drop this off. I did a quick comp on your house, obviously without seeing it. This is what, around what the market value could be in this home right now, but just any way to kind of keep it giving them value of why they should use you if they end up selling the house, right? think another one is feeding it every day. That's important, and I went through a period where I tried to do 5 contacts a day. So I thought it was manageable. I don't believe in doing these ginormous goals that a lot of times within life, it's not realistic. So I think like 5 new contacts in a database is completely achievable every day, and it shouldn't take you too long to get that in, right? Um. Have you guys have like a number that you guys are using for like how many people are trying to add to your database a day, or?
Well, in this class, they've given us 10.
Okay.
So 20 a day.
Okay, and that's achievable too, you just gotta look at it. Did they give them that list of people to kind of spark who they could put in their database? So you guys already have that, right? Okay, that's a great one to revisit several times too, just to kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot so. Let's see. Okay, so before we move on, is there any ahas in our short 10 minutes that we've been? Okay.
Well, I'm gonna go back through, like, since you're talking about this, my aha is just thinking again about all the years that I've done this and I haven't talked to any of these people. I'm gonna go back and, reboot, even maybe some past clients, just to, touch base.
The column?
Yeah.
You know, I found the best way to approach people that I've worked with or haven't talked to in a while. Is have some humility and some honesty and say, hey, you know what? I want to give you a call because I feel really bad that I haven't called you. And because of you've helped me develop this business over the years. And I feel awful that I haven't reached out to you. So I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you and I'm sorry that I haven't contacted you. And the conversations go really well because number one, you're letting them know that, hey, I've made a mistake, right? Because if you think about it, let's just say you close a transaction and you make $5,000, 10,000, 15, 20, then you never talk to these people again,
Yeah,
right? Like, you can't do that, to people because they're providing you life, right, through money. And when you don't get back with these people for however long, but I feel the best way is to call or just be honest.
it's a good idea.
I think that shit, get me in contact, I'm sorry, so. No ahas. Yours is to go
That's
back
fine.
through, how many people are gonna call by next week?
I don't know, I'm gonna go through my own thing. I've got like 800 people in my contacts, so.
Well, if you ever wanna go through a dialer, Mojo is great. Cause then you could download all those contacts in the Mojo and then you just hit dial. And throw a headset on. And it just cycles through, no ringing, it just turns green when someone answers, and then you can also take notes. And then you can connect it to your Gmail calendar for like follow-up. So if they're like, hey, yeah, I'd love to sit down, and set up something next week.
Is that something through a command or just?
No, that's a separate program. It's just a dialer, just if you have a lot of numbers versus sitting there and
Mhm.
dialing it on your phone for 800 people, you just upload it and hit start dial, and then it automatically cycles through the numbers.
It helps you too, like psychologically, when like you come across the name of, I don't wanna call them, ring, I mean, it's too late then.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat system, but he's in it for years. Just kind of keeps the flow of if you have to call a lot of people. And then it's not on your phone, it's on the system. So you don't have all these dialed calls on your cell phone, right?
Right.
But they still have your number, and if they want to call back or if they missed your call, they can still text and call you.
Okay,
So.
thanks.
Okay. So go ahead and turn to the 4 laws, database, build your database page in the participant guide. Am I behind? Okay, so at a minimum, each contact should have name, contact information, which would be cell phone, email address, past business record, and then the one that I really like is the birthdays. And so I've had my assistant go through all of my past clients and I've had her add them to my Gmail calendar. So every day when I view my calendar or my day in my calendar, someone that has a birthday or or previously I can visit the week before, write a birthday, happy birthday. I like to call them, say, hey, I was thinking about you, it's your birthday, just so that it's on your calendar, which. And getting the birthday, and the kids are the best too, so if you get a kid's birthday, right? And like I brought over a toy for a past client, I just dropped it off on his birthday, his kid's birthday. And when you do something for some of these
Oh.
kids, they never gonna forget you, right? Somebody does something nice, oh, that was, it's not a sleazy business thing, it's just showing them that they love their kid a lot. I knew they loved their kid a lot, and I wanna show them that I was thinking of them, right? So stuff like that, that kind of helps.
Nick, at what point do you get birthdays? Can you give an example of like how you gather that information?
So I started working on that a couple years ago because I didn't do it, but I just felt like it was necessary because they'd given me business. The least I could do is call them on their birthday. So I sent out a mass email and my assistant basically structure a mass email and sent it out and saying, hey, we're updating our database. We just want to make sure that your current information of this and this is correct. And also, if you don't have your birthday, we'd love to get it just to make sure that we don't miss you. So that's how I did it this last time. And then now from the beginning, we get the birthdays and then it's immediately added to the database. So that it's,
Good idea.
we're not having to like work backwards.
Your clients are giving you their children's birthdays?
Yeah, if I ask, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, it's all in how you approach and the conversation goes, right? So, typically if they have kids, it's just saying, hey, I would really like to, get your birthdays and the rest of the family. Because I want to make sure that if, their birthday comes up, I want to make sure to acknowledge it's your birthday and potentially drop by and drop off something for them. So.
I'd be in shock if you said that to me, as my realtor. I mean, shock in a good way.
Yeah.
Be like, what? You wanna acknowledge our birthdays?
Yeah, well, like I said, I think it's just, I look at it as the consequences of the money, right? That we're paid for our services, right? Like, within that and what they're giving us is giving me the ability to do what I do for the last 8 years, right? It was just pretty much anything that I've ever wanted to do and also grow. And so giving back is, it's a must for me. It's keeping in that contact and it's like, I don't know, is Rochelle Killian on the line? No. So she brought me up the other day because she was like, yeah, don't like Nick close to your family. They'll steal your family. So 5 years ago, what's the story? 5 years ago, I was dropping in on North Face and about to drop in North Face on a snowboard to call team. This lady calls, hey, we'd really like to see this house on the ranch. Okay, great. Let me get this set up and I'll let you know what time. But I can get us in there. I dropped down. Anyways, long story short, I didn't realize it was the aunt of Rochelle Killian at our brokerage, right? I didn't find this until after the fact. And then, well, it's been 5 years. And I've been going to her aunt's house and having coffee and cookies for 5 years. And long 2-3 hour conversations, so she's like, and then it's listed, so.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that's awesome. Do you have kids of your own?
I do, I have 3, I have, my oldest will be 17 in July, my son just turned 15, and then my youngest just turned 7. So I have 2 girls and a boy. It's fun during the summer, no school and sports.
Was that yours that was in here the other day? A couple days ago?
Was he?
It was his client's kids. He was
Client's kid.
kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't, he might have been in here, because he was suspended, so he might have been in. No, I didn't think I forget, I don't think I brought it on here.
Oh, there's a little girl that was running.
Oh, that's Anita's daughter.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Blair. She hangs out with me, but
Cause you're nice.
I hang out with them every once in a while.
Yeah.
I just kind of work, yeah.
Gotcha.
You probably got
Um,
clients that are like, would you be his godfather?
I have tried to get on some people's wills though, because I've had some pretty,
I have some questions. So other than birthdays, what else do you guys think you would,
Christmas presents.
well, Well, no, add to your database, like,
Oh, I
he's
thought-
collecting birth dates. What else are you? What else? do you guys
Anniversary
think?
dates.
I do home anniversaries.
Yeah. That's good to put in your database.
And a great reminder for that is try to always take a picture on the closing day. Because then it shows up as a memory. And then I usually like screenshot that and then I send it over to him. I'm like, can you believe it's been a year? You know, or whatever, you know, how many years it's been. So. All right. So does anybody have anything else they think they would add to building the database as a name, phone number, email? Past business record, birthdays, maybe home anniversary? Think anything else would be something that you'd want to add to it? So what are you guys gonna get?
I don't know,
Some
how
ideas.
about like if they bought like a home warranty or something? Maybe you could calendar that and be like, oh, hey, this is whatever, 'cause-
So,
right.
go
So
for
that's
stuff
what-
now, so we can call them that deal.
Is it time to move? Cause you found all these defects. Oh,
Right. Yeah, so I think we can move on from that one, yeah. Okay. So this is, I'm assuming this was the command part.
Yeah, like, this is something, this is an exercise where you guys can enter, contacts into command. You guys can do that on your own when
Yep.
you're connecting.
Is
And if
this
you're not
what-
set up on command yet, we will make sure to get you connected.
and this is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously,
Exactly.
so it looks pretty simple.
Yeah. And it'll walk you through it.
Yeah.
Most of them are really simple, all the different CRMs, it's just like I said, the best one is the one that you use and use consistently. And you can have a super expensive, but there's some people are using the ones that are the most basic and they're doing extremely well off of them, so.
Yep, and you can even sync your contacts, with command from any third party systems like Google or, you know, your contacts or iCloud.
I
So,
think they have a lot of integration abilities, right? Like
Yeah.
MailChimp and Google and Facebook, and I've really dug into it. Okay, so does anybody have any ahas? This last section?
Well, that's just great ideas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those are great ideas.
Okay, so turn to your, to feed your database page in your guide. Second law is to feed your database. So who remembers the previous session? What are the two pathways of feeding leads contacts in your database? I don't know the answer, I have to look it up. Guys get helped out on this one, nobody? Okay. Sharon, do you know the answer to that one?
well, sorry, next question.
Series turning on. It says, who remembers the previous session, that are two pathways for feeding leads / contacts in your database?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it goes back to that funnel system. And, so we feed it. I have my screen like. So prospecting and marketing. So we feed our database by prospecting and marketing. So we touched on this a little bit with Melissa. And then once you get it into the system, it becomes a lead and contact. So it'll look like that funnel system that we talked about, that lead generation model where it's like we have these lead capture, prospecting, marketing, and then we have leads and contacts, and we're converting leads into contacts. So the idea is your lead generation is feeding that database.
Prospecting and marketing. Yes, no, prospecting is right, I'm assuming by now, right?
Yeah.
Prospecting, phone call, circle prospecting. Right, your sphere will generate new repeat or referral business. That is true. 100%. Going through this too quick, sure.
You know, that's another area where I noticed in my past, where I got lazy with that, because I was counting on that. You know, and I would just have all these referrals coming from people I already had in the past. And then that dies off, you know, if you're not making your calls or whatever, because I used to, just being honest, I couldn't stand it, and I think it was the approach, you know, the way I was taught. Being in the bullpen, you know, do like cold calling, I
Yeah.
couldn't stand doing that. So, but this is a different approach, you know, as opposed to what I was taught, so.
Yeah, cold calls are not for the faint of heart. That's for sure, but it's definitely a mindset to,
We used to do door knocking.
I did all that. I
Yeah.
wore the soles off my shoes my first year of real estate, like literally, like wore the soles off, they came apart. Cause I was grinding so hard, like literally every day, it's like 7 days a week, it's crazy, but it worked, sort of. I mean, it's depends on
That's what I
your
would say.
your definition of success, right? I mean, it's all determined on how you think of it,
I
right?
would say before, this one we got the Costco pies. And we took them door to door. Then I was okay with it, because I had something to bring.
Right.
You know, when it was like, I don't know, we never thought of that before, like bring them something. But we did plants, you
Yeah.
know, we did pies, it was better than.
What if you look at cold calls as like you're bringing value? Right, it's a mindset thing, and I was just
Right.
talking to Sharon about it, it's like. I have to set myself up mentally every day to make calls. But then I start getting into it and I start realizing, I'm like, wow, like I've had some really good conversations today. And I wouldn't have had these conversations if I didn't pick up the phone and make the calls. I wouldn't have had 3 follow-up calls for listings in Eagle River next year. I wouldn't have had this gal tell me that she's selling her house in Homer and her friend is gonna be selling her house in Eagle River at the end of the summer. I wouldn't have had those conversations,
Right.
right? I wouldn't have those opportunities, right? So I guess it just depends on where you want to get your business, but prospecting, you know, cold calling is by far the best ROI. That you're ever gonna get, it's cheap. Like, send a number, $100 a month for the mojo dialer. You know, so I guess it's just how you look at it, and I try to look at it as that I'm bringing value to people that I'm calling. So if they have any questions about the market, you know, I can help with that, if they need a landscaper, if they need anything within real estate, I want to be a resource, right?
I know we haven't talked about it yet, and it's probably coming, but like with marketing. You know, that was always the question that people would ask, well, what all are you gonna do, especially cold calling, where we had no relationship yet? You know, super aggressive, like, well, how are you gonna market my property differently than anybody else is gonna do it? You're just gonna
Right.
stick the sign out, and then you're gonna do this thing.
Right.
So we'll probably be.
We are going to cover that,
Yeah.
and especially with buyer's consultation or listing presentation. This is going back to value, so yeah, we'll touch on that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good
Well, it just
conversation.
came to my mind when you said, you know, what is my value? What am I bringing to you?
Your value proposition, right, should be strong, so that when you go into a listing appointment. And you're going against 4 or 5 other agents, you're the one that's gonna walk out with the listing.
Right, especially when I go on these ones where people don't know me. It's a whole different story, you know. You know, like
Oh, I know.
you already know someone.
Yeah, 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 no, I was on one yesterday and it was. You know, I messaged this gal on Facebook, you know, said that Chat GPT structure a Facebook message, you know, basically. Letting Chat GPT know that, hey, this is a for sale owner, could structure me a message that I could send to her. Copy, paste, dropped it. Yeah, we'd love for you. Can you come by today?
Okay.
So. But it's like I said, if you don't take the steps to. move forward in your business or try to gain more business by the activities. You know, it's like me, this year I was where I was at the last 2 years, and it's not, you know, the worst in the world, but it could definitely get better, right? But it was all my fault. You know, I didn't do the activities consistently, and only person I can blame is myself.
Do you, for FISBOs, do you go driving around looking for them, or is there a more modern way to get them?
There's platforms that they can send for sale by owners, because or Facebook, you can search for sale by owner in the marketplace. So that'll pop them up. I find a lot of stuff off marketplace, and for sale by owners, and I don't like specifically target them, but I definitely will copy and paste a text message to them, and if they respond, and if they don't respond, then I'll bug them the next week, and I'll send the same one. Want to make sure you receive this kind of deal, you know?
Or at first they may be like, cause I did that once and it was kind of cool. I used to have these magnets. Like 20 years ago, you know, I used to give people these magnets. And at first they were like, yeah, you know, whatever, go away. I'm gonna do this thing. But then when they finally called me and said, I want you to list, they
Yeah.
had my magnet on their fridge, you know, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I should feel good that something you're doing is
Yeah, cause he was mean to me at first, but he did throw it away,
right.
so.
Well, yeah, I'm listening out of it, so hey. Could have been that bad, right?
All right, wasn't too bad.
I've only had about 3 or 4 people over the 8 years where I literally would never answer a phone call. Like if they call me, I would never answer it. Ever. Like it was that bad. So it was like 4 or 8 years, so that's not too bad.
That's true, I've never had that happen.
It happens. Okay, let's see. Testimonial and reviews, so. I do all of my reviews on Google. They have got like 50 plus. I feel like it's been stuck at 50 and it's not moved above 50, which sounds crazy, but I swear that I've been at 50 forever. But just the Google reviews, for me, everybody uses Google, for searching typically. It has got me. I mean, I can't have to go back and look and track, but it's definitely well over 15 deals just based on my reviews from people that didn't know, because what they had saw in the reviews was the consistency in the reviews and what people were saying about me and how I worked, you know, during the transaction. So always get your Google business page set up, get it certified, do all the things, take a day or however long. It shouldn't take that long, but go through the process and get that thing set up and start getting people to start dropping reviews, because they do work. And then they're great too, because then you can, like if I have a person that's interested in selling, or they're kind of not sure which direction, a lot of times I'll structure a text and then I'll also drop about 5 or 6 of those Google reviews. And I'll send that with it too, so they can kind of look at it and see who, you know, because they don't know, you know, but at least they have some type of reviews. Look at it.
Totally makes sense. I mean, look at it with Amazon. I'll go through and if I'm thinking like, well, maybe I'll buy it, maybe not. If I read that and it's all a whole bunch of consistency, like you said,
Google.
I'll buy it.
Everybody, you know, because that's what I do too. I mean, and that's why I went heavy on making sure that I do what I can to get people. And obviously you want to be choosy on. I don't go every client doesn't do a review, even though I did really good for them. It's just kind of up to your discretion. If they're raving about how, like, obviously you're like, here, and I usually do it like right before we close. I don't wait till we close. Because if you wait till you close, the chances of them leaving a review for you is slim to none. It's a very small, like, so you have that little window when they're excited about closing and you're doing the walkthrough and I have a link and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot this link over to you. It really helped my business, and I'd really appreciate if you could just fill out the Google review for me. And some of them have been off of Google reviews, so that they've actually called based on the Google reviews, and so they know the importance of it. Can you leave? They're like, oh yeah, for sure, send it over. Immediately send it to them, because once you close, I don't know why.
Right, so.
I got the guy from the Blackhawk operator. He still hasn't left me a review. It's because I waited. I told him before I'm gonna be sending this link, and then we closed, and then I'm like, hey, how's that review coming?
Maybe it's psychological too, because they think it's still part of the process. You know, but once it's closed, it's like, oh yeah, I'm done now with that, or whatever, I got what I wanted.
I've been good at him. I got back from San Diego and I went to his house with silicone because his front face of his drawers and his island started to separate and you couldn't tell. It was like closing. We went in there after it was closed. They were kind of looking around and it was like open, and then the seller didn't do a bunch of stuff that they were promising they were gonna do, and they didn't want to hold up recording. He didn't want to hold up recording. I'm like, well, if we don't hold it up, it may not. So I went over there and popped some silicone in there, say stuff like that. So he was a review.
There's some other places you guys can leave reviews. Where else do you guys like to have your clients leave reviews for you?
Think you're on this.
On Facebook? Yep.
So I spent a bunch of time getting Facebook reviews. They wiped them all.
Really?
Yeah, it still says like 5 stars on Facebook, but you cannot find the reviews, period. They watch them there because they're Facebook. And Zillow did the same thing to me. I spent a ton of time trying to get Zillow reviews. And I think I have 1 or 2 now. I got up to like, I don't know, I got like 25-star reviews on Zillow, and they just, one day they contacted me to try and get me to spend a bunch of money, and then they washed them. They got rid of all of them.
Oh, that's.
And I've reached out a bunch of times and they're like, there's nothing we can do.
That's why I just doubled down on Google.
So that's what I said.
And I just doubled down. on
Transition
Google.
everything into Google.
Facebook is good if, obviously, if they keep the reviews. The only thing for Facebook reviews that I found out is if you run an ad. And then in that ad, it'll show 5 stars at the bottom of the ad. And then, it'll say 10 reviews, or how many ever reviews. That's the only benefit I've ever seen, but that's just me. I mean, it's not saying there's not other
Yeah.
places. I just have doubled down in the place where I know everybody goes to when they search.
And remember, for those of you who are just starting out, I think we touched on this a little bit yesterday. You can totally have people that know you, even if you haven't closed a real estate deal. You can have someone leave you a review based on like, you know, maybe services you've offered them, or based on your character, or some of your attributes. So don't be shy to ask, you know, friends or family to leave you a review. I think that's always helpful.
Yeah, I mean, a review is a review. Or, you know, if it's on character, if it's on your ability to navigate a transaction, right? So then that's the way to help start building, so there's something there. Call either your family or friends and say, hey, you know, I want to build this. Leave me a, review. What areas of business or customer service could you ask someone to provide a testimonial or review on? Hopefully. In the review that all those things are in there. Right, all those sections, right? You want to be a well-rounded. Person, showing on, so that when people read, they're like, oh, this guy's honest, this girl's functional, this, try to hit all the different areas. So any ahas from this section? Anything online? You guys good? You got any questions?
I'm good.
Good. Okay. Always forget this.
Well, I do, when you said the Google, asking before the closing, that's like so smart. Because again, I wouldn't have thought about that. Well, I wouldn't have thought about this in the first place, but definitely the timing like that,
Yeah.
because that is so critical.
Yeah, I've
So, yeah,
learned
that's good.
a lot of things are very critical in this business. And it's taken me a long time and I'm not perfected at anything by any means, but definitely. There's a lot of things like that are very crucial into obtaining more business. Based on how you move within the business. It's like calling somebody, they don't answer, I call them right back. I got a lead that comes on my website, I call them. Goes to voicemail, I hang up, I call them right back. 90% of the time, they're gonna answer within a second, now, because I think it's an emergency, which it is. So I need to know if they need help.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Answer the phone. So stuff like that, which I would have never done.
You might have said this earlier, I was out and about, so you're getting random leads that you're calling, where's your lead source?
Which one? I've got several.
If you've got an unknown phone number that you're contacting,
Oh, like, are you talking about cold calls or stuff that's coming in on my website?
I don't know, are you getting,
I get 2 to 3 leads a day on my website every day.
okay,
But you have to figure, you know,
and what's your website system?
I use Rogeeks.
Okay,
I've just been using it for a long time. But like I said, it's whatever one that you use. I've just always liked them and stayed with them. My coach for 3 years, Tom Ferry, was Fred Doliak. Which helped launch Google, which is, sold his brokerage on the East Coast and a tech company simultaneously. And his coach was John Assaraf, which I don't know if you're familiar with John, but he's a huge real estate mogul. So I had this guy for 3 years. And I had him look at all the different CMAs and stuff like that, and the capabilities and the price point and the abilities for AI and all this other stuff. And he was like, by far, like, you're on the right track, like, continue. He did a bunch of like a deep back end dive on a bunch of them. So
so is that a lead producing, or, I mean, you're getting leads through it, the site is a subscription service kind of thing?
so it's a CRM website all together.
Okay, got it.
So like mine's yourmasseyvalleyrealtor.com, super long name, but it is what it is. As long as they click the link,
Yep,
then it takes them to the landing page, right? Then captures the information. And sometimes it's just off of my Facebook
gotcha,
business, sometimes it's off of an ad, sometimes it's just somewhere for them to go.
Yeah.
And once they get in there, they sign up as a buyer, then there's 18 months of emails that go out in a sequence of after they figured out, after the first email, it should be 3 days, and the second email, and that's how I actually signed up with this for them, is because I thought it was a person sending the email, but it wasn't.
nice.
It was their automated system. That's how I got sold. And I was like, you know what? And I've got quite a few listings off it because it's so. Anyways,
Nice.
so that's where, I mean, there's cold calls too. Yeah. But. Communicate with your database. Sorry, guys, let me just catch up. So the third law is communication with database. In the previous session, you learned about the importance of relationships in real estate, along with the different ways you can communicate with the database, called touches. Communicating with your database will be accomplished through those touches, and you will pair those with meaningful, relevant, and timely information. Okay, so can somebody read that?
To succeed at a high level in real estate sales, you must commit to frequent contact with a database, the intent of building close relationships.
Yeah,
Do you guys think you guys could do that? You gotta be
Yeah.
hungry for it though.
I was thinking last night, I do it anyway. That's what I do every day.
Talk
I
on the
think-
phone all day?
Well, I talk
Friends
to
and stuff?
everybody all day long. That's the only difference is I'm not bringing up real estate.
Well, the way I ever bring up real estate, so like if I started to talk about my mom, what's that gonna make you do?
Start talking about my mom.
Right, well, the reverse cycle of that is, you ask somebody what they do for their job. And what do they almost 99% of the time, what are they gonna say to ask you? What do you do for work?
Do you find that more with men? Like women don't, and I know it just, we don't usually meet each other, hey, what do you do?
I
But
think
men do, I know men do.
I usually just ask what the person does, and so instinctively, usually people, women too, females and males, will react in the same manner of, once they've explained what they do and you've shown interest, it's not a Ponzi scheme, right? It's just trying to talk with people about what they do, they turn around and ask what you do for a living.
Mhm.
So,
So that's what you usually do, just in your day to day. you just ask people just that, like, hey, what do you do?
Or
Or,
like if you meet somebody new.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, I'm a blabber during the day, and then about 5 o'clock I become recluse, so I'm not talking, but so. I. But. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely, it's, no matter what. Oh, no. You do, and consistency is a Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin will walk around the office talking so loud.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, anything you do in this business, I mean, the word consistency is definitely being consistent in whatever you're doing. That's gonna make the difference, if you get chase a bunch of stuff and never consistent on any of it, you're never gonna have good results from any of it. Just doing it in circles. Communicate systematically. Segment your database on interest, passion, etc. So you want to elaborate on that, because
You know, everybody who's like my kids play sports and everybody that's interested. Sport. But then the military stuff. Those people that would go on a separate one.
right.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and I think you can get really crazy on databases, to be honest with you. I mean, the amount of different sections you can create on databases, it could just become wild. I mean, just depends on how far you want to dissect your database into. Right, I just have tabs of mailers, people for emails monthly. I've got my past clients, got current clients, and you just go on and on, but here we go. Oh. So kind of what you were just saying. Keep it updated. Be on it all the time and update it. The more that you're on it and adding people and sometimes pulling people out of it.
And in command, it's really easy to put tags on your clients and you can put multiple tags.
Yeah.
So,
That's
okay.
true. It's a allergy decongestant, so it's literally. It's like a. Eating cotton.
so I think you already said this earlier, but so does this mean if I got a command, it has the capability to generate you a newsletter? Just these constant touch things that you can use coming out of
I
there?
think that's what it's called, isn't it? Constant
Yes.
contact or contact touch, constant touch or something?
Yeah, they're touches, yes, so we'll be able to create things. You can even like pull stuff on Canva. Sometimes I just go to Canva and it has templates already in place. I just have to drop in my information. Yeah.
But, okay, and so then with Keller, that's where like all of our actual business, like listing, presentation, documents, everything, okay.
That's a whole nother conversation, listing
Mhm.
presentations. I was gonna show you something that I created. ChatGPT is by far its excelling and the ability to create newsletters and stuff like that. Created one through ChatGPT and I was like, whoa, like this is,
Really good.
it's advancing for sure since it's started. It's like 2 years now since it's been going. So customize, does anybody want to read that right side? The customized messaging examples?
Little golf courses per neighborhood and vary relative to the geographic location.
You just did the top right. This says market stats in different geographic locations based on the market. The markets people are moving to and moving from. Listing of upcoming low costs. vaccination sites or,
Forgot about
I was like,
that.
reading that, I was like, is
Yeah.
that the same vaccination? Sites or other low cost pet services. So what does any of that mean to you guys?
Taking what they're interested in and finding, like if you're looking for a home. There is that amount they're interested in.
Right.
Mhm.
Dog lovers. Actually, I'm, what is it? I have my certificate for the place there in Palmer. What's it called? The shelter?
Oh, Matthew.
I did that class.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I was in the class and he's like, hi. Like. What? It's like, come on, she's like, can you come? So I went up there and they had a dog that they put out. It was too big and none of the girls could pick him up. And they're like, can you please move him from this table to that table? And I'm like, sure.
That's funny.
Like a Saint Bernard almost. Okay, so. So 19 to connect, you got 4 touches on a quarterly phone call, 12 touches, monthly email, newsletter, market report, video. 2 touches, promotional direct mail, such as a magnet calendar, printed market report. 1 touch at an annual party, movie screening and to get together. That. I think all those are important, but I think for me, to getting everybody together and putting something together for the clients is really. Actually do it indoors if it's in the summer, because you never know what the weather's gonna be like. I tried to do one outside at a lake house and it turned out amazing. I had the axe throwing company brought their trailer, I had a food truck there, I had a live band, I had the brewery sponsor all the beer, they gave me like stack of cases like that. And then towards the end of it, it was like beautiful, and then like the end of it, sort of dumping rain and everything's just like, someone else went inside, but. 4 touches quarterly phone call. Does anybody know what that is?
Well, what, you mean, you're just going through your database and just picking up the phone and calling all your people, right?
Yep. So that's 4 times a year, you're gonna call. Right, it's 4 touches. The 12 times is sending out 1 a month. Right, newsletter, video, whatever you wanna do, but those are important too, because you get responses from people, you know, when you send out stuff usually. Then you have the 2 touches. Promotional direct mail such as a magnet calendar, printed marketing report, etc. You could do. You know, you could pick a month. For 2 months or 3 months and stop by. Do a pop by. That's another way of touching, so they're. Cause I don't know if you've ever had a client, where you saw them in public and you're like, they know who you are, but you're like. They look vaguely familiar, you know, depending on how long you've been in the business, like you start looking, you're like. It might have changed their hair or something like that, and you're kind of like. So maybe a pop by, that way you can kind of. See what clients are still looking at.
I like your idea too of like being honest and apologizing, because like I told, you weren't here yet, but I was saying earlier. That was how I used to do business. I would just sell stuff and then by the time it was over,
Yeah,
I didn't wanna talk to them anymore. You know, and just kind of cut that out because I didn't care about like making this a career. It was just, I was going deal to deal.
yeah, and I think that's when we're more about ourselves and not about the people we're serving, you know, because I've been there too, right? And what I've learned about that. Being in that place in real estate is you burn yourself out. And you start hating your job, literally, and that's only because we're making it. About us,
Right.
right?
Cause then when you see them, like you said, in the store or they show up somewhere and you're like, I never even, cause they know clearly who you are.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh my gosh, I never even talked to you again.
Yeah. And that's why 2 party events are really good if you do 1 a year, and not everybody's gonna come. I think I sent out about 150. There are 75 invitations or something like that. I think 75 came, so usually you predict. You know, half, but at least you're doing the
Pretty
basic
good, though.
things, so. It was great, yeah, it was a great time.
Some salad
As well, so. Okay, so 36 to convert, 4 touches, telephone calls, 26 touches bi-weekly email, offering some type of information of value to the consumer. 2 touches, events gets together. Gets get together, sorry, I'm wrong, and parties for touches for promotional direct mail such as, does that say command? What does that say? So,
Contacts.
say contacts, okay.
And that's another question. So I'm assuming in command, you can like trigger in there, right? To
Yeah.
remind yourself of all these things.
Well, and you can also you can set them up on a smart plan too.
Yeah. So it all-
Yeah.
So they already have the smart plans built inside of there, so that's really plug and play. Like I said, it's got a lot of great features. I've looked at some of it, but I would definitely get nerdy on it. Try to dial in on that thing and get that thing up and running. And like I said, you got Brian, to help. And he's structure wise, like he's ridiculous.
I was curious too, what you said about your, like AI, when you're asking it to do all these things. Are you just like cutting and pasting these things into like your information, or how do you take it? I mean, I know this is like a tech thing, but
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what I'm doing with it. AI is really neat because it's like having somebody with a 500 IQ in your pocket. So, I mean, depending on like, so for, the newsletters, I have it write, the HTML for what I want, and then I take the HTML and I copy and I paste it into MailChimp. And then so, because the HTML is basically the coding, the structure of what it is, and then it pops up. And then I just copy and paste that and I put it on a blank so I can edit it if I need to change anything, add pictures or whatever. Took me a minute to figure it out, but once I figured it out, it's pretty quick. So that's stuff there too, text messages. When I have leads come in for, into my website, I already have a prompt for responding. So when I call, they don't answer, I call back, they don't answer. And then immediately I already have a text message, I copy and I paste it and I send it to them. Stuff like that. So these type of things, I can promise that if you do the 1936 contact, you will get something out of that. If you do that. And consistently do it, you'll definitely get something out of it. It's, you gotta realize that anything that we do in the first game. Okay, so moving your contacts to your smart database and to your data bank. I can't speak on that, sure, I'm sorry, I have no clue what that is. I mean, I kind of understand what it is, but. More command stuff. Which I'm sure you guys will get more training on that directly into. Okay, so ahas, there's a lot of ahas in this thing.
But there's insights that you're offering. That really, I think, have value. So a lot of this, guys, is just. You're basically feeding this database, so it pays you back. And you're tilling and you're taking care of your clients like they're tender little plants. You're feeding them. If you don't feed them, they die. They go somewhere else. And then they come back to you. And they continue to feed it. So I think of it like when you think of an energy system and this torus that it's coming in, it comes back out and it feeds you and feeds you. Like, so out of one client, what's the most business you've gotten from one client based on like referrals or repeat business? Or if they've referred you to other family members? How many pieces of business have you gotten?
I would say, I'm trying to think, kind of like Rolodex through my clients. I've had clients who bought something every year.
Right, so it's like every year?
Yeah, in fact,
how long have you been a realtor?
I think I'm going to my 8th year, I'm at the end of my 7th year.
And then go ahead.
I was gonna say, I've just had different, situations. I've had, husband and wife that owned 2 houses that sold their house, both their houses, and they bought a really big house, like I've had.
And ultimately they come back to you.
Yeah, and that's,
build a
yeah, that's the. Those are the best type of people, those are the people that you really need to feed. You know, or the ones that you're biggest advocate, because not everybody is, and not everybody's gonna be thinking about you when they ask about a realtor. You know, you'd hope that that's not I mean, I'm pretty decent at keeping up with past clients and making phone calls and text messages and sending emails and all this other stuff, and I'm like. When they like call, they're like, hey, are you still doing real estate? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I doing wrong?
Do you think, just your opinion on this now? Do you think, that it's just because people in general, especially nowadays, like with everything fast, the media, everything like that, social media, they don't even really have, most people don't even really have that loyalty. It's like if you decide you wanna buy a home, well, okay, the reason why I'm saying this is this literally just happened to me, where a very good friend, literally, they just decided randomly, okay, we wanna buy our house now. And they go and they find one and they use the listing agent. And she didn't even let me know, again, if I take responsibility, I wasn't really pushing the fact that I was doing real estate.
Right,
But she knew kind of in the background. What I'm getting at is, I don't know, like, when you really look at the big picture, what is your opinion about that as far as, well, maybe this isn't even, I guess maybe this is just saying, how many people really, you can do all the things and they're still just gonna, go and pick whoever listed the property. Just because they're there, the availability, they don't wanna wait, to see the property.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that's really for us to worry about, I always use the. The mental check of something happens, next,
Yeah, true.
next,
Yeah,
and you just keep moving on, because you can't control it, right? And in reality, it's not really ours to begin with, you know? We've just been fortunate enough to help people and have that business and, and hopefully they refer, but. I try to move on quickly. I mean, I had a really good friend after 20 years. And it still bothers me today, and I've tried to work through it. Have been helping the family to all do real estate for the last 6 years. And, worked on weekends for them, showing places, DFTing contracts. I mean, just the whole, knew I was in real estate, right? We were in contact, been through a lot of stuff with them. And, go look on the MLS and there's a property that's a $900,000 property. Somebody else. I'm like, wow. Wow. And so I'm heading to Costa Rica for a retreat out there, and I'm not trying to pay any attention to it because I just want to disconnect from everything here and just kind of go do my thing and then come back and then they end up buying a $2 million property for that same person.
right. So it's a hard pill to swallow, but I know, like what you just said, that's when you have to go deep.
Yeah.
Spiritually even,
Yeah.
and be like, okay, I forgive you for this, because that is an issue. I think I just brought it up yesterday.
Right.
That is a thing, in this business, when we were talking about all the mindsets that hold us back or whatever. I think, like I said yesterday, I think to Sharon, that, that mindset of like, I don't like it, especially when that happens. I mean, no one does, but
Right.
it's hard to get past it. When someone does that, especially even your own relative or somebody like
Yeah.
that, and it was a huge amount of money that
Yeah.
they know that you could have used, but then they give it to somebody else. So
Yeah.
I guess that's the answer, is you just keep a constant stream.
Have so much business that it doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
I mean, that's really the position to get in, and the only way you're ever gonna get into that position is by doing the things every single day consistently. And having so much business coming in that those little things are just like.
Right, you're not
You're not
devastated.
attached to it, because you got so much stuff coming up and you're working on that. There's no reason to be giving
You're
it,
good, we'll start again, but you're back.
but you gotta do the things. Because it's getting harder and harder to stay. Business is there, but things are changing. So putting that extra work in.
I'll just comment real quick on this, even for you guys on Zoom, hear this. Please know that it's never about you. We just let it go and we keep going. It's never about, we kind of like have to realize that real estate is going to like illuminate the things that bring that hurt us or feels hurtful. And the way we bring that peace back to us is by choosing peace. That's it, and keep going. Because if you are continuing to hold on to things, then you're going to feel that resistance and you need to soften to it and just keep going.
Yeah.
What's
Right,
the next? Just use, remember that next. Next.
It's called unattachment.
Yeah,
It's
just
like
check.
becoming detached and welcoming in that funnel of abundance rather than lack and grasping of like having to hold on to what you felt was lost or what was yours, which never yours to be in the first place.
I love that.
We go deep into that even further, right?
Right.
Go to a whole nother conversation of not really owning anything in here, but we're here, and we're trying to make the best of it, and we're in real estate, so we're gonna try to make the best experience, right, for our business. So before we move on, does anybody have any questions about communication with your database? Okay. So the final, did we already go? No, we didn't go this. So the final is to service all leads that come our way. This will come in a form of strong lead follow-up program, which you will get into in day 10 of the night. Since you'll be getting all the details then, today, we will get you started with the basics.
Read it?
I'm just pointing in the direction, hopefully one of you guys just reads it,
I can do it. Your job is to build a community and serve the community.
right? And I think the building part's awesome, but I think the service part is even better. Right? When you service people, many people start, then I've noticed that in my own life, we had a conversation, it's just incredible when you change the way you view things, the things around you change. Right? And Jim run when I said that, but it's like a light switch sometimes, right? So if you come from a place of service, right? Because it's not about you, which most of us, a lot of us, that's where we come from, is me. Well, you know, gotta change it to how can I help and how can I give? Because that's where the real satisfaction and happiness, in my opinion, come from, is when you're serving other people, right? And our business is cool because we have a lot of people we can serve. Right? Okay, service all leads. Plan for a lead follow-up program. I can't read that. What does it say?
Leverage.
To leverage every opportunity.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. So servicing leads and servicing all leads, I think we touched on this at the beginning, right?
Yeah, we touched on some of
A
this.
little bit. So ways, have you guys come up with any other ways of servicing leads since we've been talking? Just follow up. Follow up. Everything's gonna follow up. I heard that before, I thought it was garbage. And then I lost about 8 million in volume 1 year because I didn't follow up. And I had to watch it,
Yeah.
and it's
that's a
because I
big deal.
didn't follow up. That was not a good feeling. I was mad at myself, real something. All right, it says a lead not followed up becomes someone else's lead.
Yeah,
Have any of you guys experienced that? I'm sure I'm not the only one who's lost.
yeah,
Right, for not
A
following
lot.
up, forgot about them.
Mhm.
Right,
and they actually liked me. And that was the shocker, I thought, well, they're just gonna like me. they loved me, so they're just gonna always remember me the rest of my life. And, no. They don't remember you the rest of your life.
They just remember I'm bald. It's usually what they remember me by.
Oh, they,
Mr.
no, they don't remember, they
Bill.
just think, I want this thing right now, and I'm doing it. What did you say?
I said, they just remember because I'm bald. So yeah, I mean, the lead not follow-ups, I mean, always get them in your follow-up system, however you're using it. I've got several follow-up systems. I got my Mojo that's connected directly to my Google Calendar, which that's where I put my follow-up, and then I have my follow-up also in the CRM, but just make sure that wherever you have to put it, don't put it on a piece of paper unless you're uber crazy able to do those things to keep everything. And the only person I know that several people use paper, I know Nita is one of them. Everything's paper. It's a calendar, everything's written down. I can't do that. I'll lose it. So wherever you guys gotta put it, follow up, calendar, wherever it is, just make sure you put it in there. And then when it pops up, call them. Because there's been times where I saw it and I didn't follow them,
Right,
and they ended up listing not with me. So just make sure you give them a call.
Sorry, that's me.
I was about to jump
I
and go
just
through the
want to
links.
comment on one thing.
Oh.
It's also important, like when you service your leads, that you know the source. And then you can place that information into Command. Then, and the reason for this, is because then you know what's working. So for instance, like Matthew St. John does this at a very high level, that he does golden letters. And whatever other lead sources he has, he's able to track it and see what his return on investment is. So, this, and we do this too, my husband and I, we're both in real estate together, and so we'll like, if we got it from a Facebook ad or this lead, answered from here, then we're able to see it, okay, where did these people come from and what's working and maybe what's not, what's a long-term investment versus short-term investment, and then tracking that relationship too, is really important, tracking your conversations and then also rewarding referrals. That's something I don't think we talked about. Anytime you get a referral,
I get $1,000. I'm just kidding.
I'm like, what?
That's somebody trying to tell me because they get a lead. That they're not real estate agents, a friend of mine. Try to get paid 20%.
Oh my God. So. Yeah, definitely like reward, any referrals. My kids used to, be my biggest advocates at school. And they were like, hey, I was talking to my friend and their mom was talking about this. And actually, at one of my kids' school, they went to Birch Tree and I've sold 5 homes. From them just talking to teachers or staff. And I didn't do any mingling. It was just
Love
my
it.
kids. So I reward the kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, thanks for this.
pizza night, movie night, ice cream night. Can you touch on that a little more because of the legalities, like, let's say like,
Just a phone call.
yeah,
Calling them or, hey, can I take you out to for a cup of coffee? Thank you so much.
What they don't know won't hurt them.
Yeah.
so just to review this from our like training, original training. We can't sit there and pay, like, hey, like my hairdresser, okay? Yeah, if you send these people to me, I'll give you, $50
No,
per person.
we won't. We
Right,
can't do that.
right,
But you know what? Hey, do you know anyone? And once they
Yeah.
do, you're rewarding the action.
yeah,
So maybe a coffee card. This is what I do. I do a coffee card or a gas card and thank you for fueling my business.
oh, isn't that cute?
So I'll just say, thank you so much for fueling my business.
That's
First, it
cute.
starts with a phone call. Like, hey, thank you for thinking of me. I really, really appreciate it. And then after that, maybe once we get to closing with the person, with the client, with the referral, is what I'm trying to say. I will give, a closing gift to the client, but also the person who referred, saying, hey, thank you so much for fueling my business. And maybe at that time, that would be great. And it doesn't have to be like much, like a coffee card or something, would be great, but you're just saying thank you.
Like, what's it, because my tax person asked me this once, what's a good dollar amount to stay good out of
We
issue?
can't do anything over 50.
I don't think we're allowed to do, Brian said no closing gifts, period.
Not until
What?
after it records.
He said nothing, period. You can do marketing,
Yeah,
stuff, but he said nothing, no gifts.
even after closing? I always do.
I was always told before closing, and I'll pull them out to give us more guidance on this. Because, if it's, and I was always told like $25 or less or something like that.
Mhm.
Per person. So if there's a couple, okay, maybe there's $50. And I just. You're just doing something to have them think about you, basically, that's it. But, the idea is not before closing, because then it could be seen as you
Trying to
are
buy a place.
trying to buy them into
Mhm.
finishing the deal.
Mhm.
So wait till after it records.
Mhm.
Then you can do a recording gift or an after closing gift is what we can call it. But I still do closing gifts, but after recording. And usually the way I do it is like, hey, I want to check in on you like after closing. Sorry, like we're going off on a tangent, but
No, you're good. I'm not listening anyways, because any information that's like that, I just don't want to hear it, because I don't want to be liable. I was told. I'm
don't
just
wanna
kidding.
do-
Don't listen, I'm totally joking.
he's a joke.
I said, he's already tied up with birthday gifts.
Yeah, so it's all good. So I'll get.
I've heard
information.
Brian talk about no gifts, but he also said he can kind of get around it with like maybe you get them a cutting board with your logo kind of like ingrained in the back or something. So you can kind of think of it as marketing that way.
That's what I've always been told is, yeah, if it has your logo, your name, something on there, it's marketing supplies.
So my credit card counts then?
Your credit card,
Yeah.
if you give them your
If I
credit card.
take them out to dinner and buy them dinner.
Oh, I write that off all the
Yeah, that's
time.
cool.
If I go out with a client, like that's a business expense for sure.
And make sure you have your business cards connected to your QuickBooks.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people that don't, it's wild to me, it's sending it right to it. That's it.
I have a separate card just for
That's
business transactions,
cutest
for sure.
garbage.
And then at the end of the year, I could just print off the credit card statement,
Yep,
bam, hand them the tax later.
makes it easy. Okay, ahas. No? Okay. Core laws, a database. Build a database, feed it every day, communicate systematically, and then service your leads. Because the database isn't no good if you don't feed it, right? And if you don't communicate with it. You really don't have a ton. Right, servicing your leads are obviously important. I think you guys probably got that, yeah. Follow the 4 laws, don't quit too soon. I think that's a huge one. Not quitting. Do you guys ever read the book, Think and Grow Rich? So there's a story in there that these gold miners, right, they leveraged everything, they go back to the days of the gold mine, right? Well, they decided to quit. And that's a true story, so they ended up quitting. And they went and sold their equipment to this guy, I think he ran like some store or something, and he bought it for like $100 or something like that, right? And then he hired a, what are the people that do the landscapes? Like an engineer, so he took this guy out there. And he said, well, that's why. They said they didn't know the fault lines. And he says they stopped 3 feet from the gold. And so the guy started digging 3 feet from where they quit and made millions on
Oh my
on
God,
gold, so don't ever give up,
that's crazy.
right? Unless you're getting pulled over and then you, so you're fast.
Is this page in our book,
I don't.
is all this in our book, or do I need, or
I
should we be like
don't think that-
screenshotting all these things?
That, I don't have it right in front of me.
I could give them this if they wanted, right? Or do you,
Oh, that's okay, thank you, I'll just take a pic, but I just wondered, are all these things in our book or not?
The majority should be.
This is good to remind myself
Like
constantly.
here.
Let's see here. Pop ahead to the next month's open house.
Not all of them are in there.
Okay,
all right, so don't quit too soon. The 36 touch campaign takes time to yield results. Anything you do in this business, give it at least 6 months. If you're trying something new, give it your best, give it 6 months at least, if not a year. Because a lot of times the results are not gonna show up for 6 months to a year, right? Think long term. I think is important. Don't think just a year, think 5 years, think 10, think 15, and think 20, right? Where you're going. And I think it feels a little bit more obtainable when you're looking at a long term of something, right? Always come from care and service. The real estate business is a relationship business. 100%. Us. Wow.
wow.
All right.
This business is about relationships. I'm just joking.
Who would have known, right? How has your thinking changed? What ideas or new mindsets were in?
It's learning to get more creative in making connections with people and following up with those connections.
Right. And how are you doing that?
I have a lot of ideas up here, so I'm gonna go. For the softball coaching.
Well, I love that idea, like Sharon said about, I think it's so cute, that gas card. Even that verbiage, like, thanks for fueling my business, super cute.
Sure.
Just stuff like that and just the idea, like you said it right when you started teaching this, kind of like the unlimited amount of service that you can give somebody. There's no end to it, the service or the income. And sometimes you forget that, why did we do this in the first place? So you could be self-employed.
And that's another thing too, is how much do you really need, right? How much do you really want to make? And Mackenzie was in here and he's like, oh, you 32 deals. You 32 deals. And he worked his butt off, man. About November came around, he's standing right up there. He's like, I don't want to do this no more. He did 27 deals. He's like, I don't want to do this no more. So it's finding that balance of what works for you, right? You don't have to compete with anybody in this business. You compete with yourself and you achieve your goals. You run your own race, right? I mean, I'm the low man on the totem pole in this office essentially, which is pretty crazy. And all these other agents but I don't compare myself to them. I don't envy them. I promote their growth and I'm there for them when they need something right, like that's just, I run my own race. I don't really care what anybody else is doing, What's that?
Oh, just ahas.
Mhm.
It's a good question.
It's okay.
I also love the reminder, just even though I know it logically about letting things go and, you know these things logically. But sometimes it does get to you, when you're letting like what it is, your flesh, get to you as opposed to your spirit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you've got to let it go. You've got to move on. You've got to let it go. It's not about me. It was never about me. It wasn't that I did it wrong.
Yeah.
And letting it go.
Try something that I usually typically do is I have a conversation with myself when something's bothering me, right? I ask myself, why is it bothering me so much? And then I let myself answer it honestly. And it's pretty amazing. When you ask yourself a question and you answer it honestly. A lot of people can't do that. They want to make this story about whatever is gonna make them feel better about the situation, right? And so just asking yourself the question, why am I feeling hurt? You're gonna get an answer. As long as you're okay with accepting that answer, it helps you move on from, situations. Not just real estate, but it's in general, right?
I think you mentioned it too, Sharon, that none of this was ours anyway. It's that idea that that was supposed to be mine. Why? Because I knew them or
Yeah.
like a family, definitely family. Well, that was my sister and she did this thing. That was mine. That, like you said, that none of this is ours in the first place, so,
And everything's our fault.
well,
Everything.
everything rises and falls on leadership,
Right.
right? So you're the leader of this.
Yeah.
And I don't like that, dude. So.
Happens.
On that subject though, of family and close friends not using you, I have had clients where I know their friends and family are realtors and I know those realtors and they don't want to use them, not because they don't like the person or they don't think they're good business. They don't want to do business with people that they have extremely close relationships with. And they don't want to have those awkward conversations.
Which is smart.
Or have
It
to
is.
fire them, like if you have to
Yeah.
fire your sibling, it's like. So, yeah,
Yeah. Or sometimes people have told, I mean, they haven't told me this, but I think they didn't want me to know their finances.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you end up knowing some stuff, even if it's by accident, through the loan process or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
which can be weird.
right, because you know all these things and it's like, okay, I'm not supposed to know that thing, but.
Something that's helped me get through those moments when I feel like really burnt is allowing myself like a day or 2 days to be like as mad and upset as I want. And then after that, I'm like, okay, now we move on. And it's kind of helped frame it like that.
Yeah. Well, there's no reason to hold on to something you have no control over. I think that's where a lot of us suffer, is holding on to things you have no control over, and that becomes our hell, internally, so.
Let me ask you too, what's good verbiage to say to somebody that's in an authority position, that you're around all the time in your sphere? And they're constantly referring, to like one or two people that do real estate.
Mhm.
What's a good way to be able to just say, hey, I mean, I know we talked about the communication of just bringing it into the communication conversation. But, to just walk up to them and say, hey, I want you to refer people to me. Of course, I'm not gonna say that, but give me verbiage. Would you like, how are you gonna handle that?
So somebody that's giving business to other people, they're realtors, and you're wanting to
Mhm.
get some business from that person.
Now that I'm coming back in, where I'm opening myself up to this again, I want them to know, and I want them to refer me people now too, because they've been
You
referring
just
me
said it.
to all these other people.
You just said it.
Now that I'm in business again, I just wanted to,
I'm in business again, right?
and now I wanted you to know
I
that.
would like to earn your business and referrals, or however you want to word it, right? I mean, it's just transparency and honesty. Be yourself,
Okay,
and that's that's something that I've always tried to do, and I like doing that, being myself, is because if they like me, then they like me. If they don't, then they don't.
Mm.
And that's okay. Not everybody likes everybody, and most time people don't like people because they have bad information in it, so. Yeah. So it is. Okay, so what do you feel differently about, what was meaningful, for you guys today?
well, again, I told you I'll talk if you guys don't. Just again, the reminder that this is about relationship first, that this is about helping people first. Not letting, and one of the beautiful things in my past, I wasn't counting on the money. I wasn't looking at it that way, to where now I don't wanna become, that way, like, well, I need this money. Because it comes off, and it never used to come off when I did deals, because, you can buy it or not. In a good way, in a
Yeah.
positive way. I don't wanna become that person where they're like, man, she's really wanting me to buy this, or, you know what I mean? So
Commission
that's
stuff.
valuable. That's valuable. Reminding me again, this is about relationship, just like life, you know, and the money comes.
Well, in reality, I mean, you should be giving when you don't have anything. Right? And when you have something, you give more.
Well, that's
You know?
true.
I mean, I almost got out of the business in the first 6 months that I was in it. I was leveraged out and about to get a 9 to 5 and something said, give it 2 more weeks, and I never had a commission breath at all. Even though it's broke.
And maybe I speak to this too, this is another side note off of this, but, because of the way I've been, the way that I have relationships with people. I've done so many times, I used to joke and say, kind of like a word curse, but I used to joke and say, I'll never be a top production agent because I give too much. Like I would pay, you know, out of what I'm getting to make something happen for them. Or right before the closing, oh, they didn't do the garage door, so I'm paying that money, you know, for them to keep the deal together or whatever. So I guess I'm speaking to that, like, how far do you go? I guess that just depends, right,
I
on
think
what you're
whatever-
dealing with.
Whatever you feel called to, you know? I don't think it should be coming from a place of help, right? And if you feel the need to help something financially. I always do it by if I'm called to help, right? If I feel that this is the right thing to do, and if it's the
Right.
finances, then
Right,
I don't do it for accolades, I don't do it for attention, I do it purely out of just to help. you
right,
know?
to make it right,
To make it right,
because
yeah.
that was usually it, to make it right, because they didn't do something they were supposed to do.
Yep. And that's sometimes in the business, that's how it is. Everybody's probably bought a refrigerator or a washer or dryer or
Yeah.
a garage door, or I showed up and we went through the walkthrough and there was no washer and dryer. They took the washer and dryer out.
Right,
And I ended up getting a washer dryer. My clients were like, you didn't have to do that. I said, you're right. I didn't have to do it. I said, but it's not right that you don't have it. The seller promised for you to go to court and do all these things to try to get a washer dryer. I'm just gonna buy a washer dryer and we're gonna be done.
right, so we still
And
did
it's
the
not a
right
big
thing.
deal. Well, they've given me so much, it's like, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how will your behaviors be different going forward and what actions will you take?
Questions? I think I am trying to, I'm actually for this year trying to double business. And so I'm trying to optimize how I spend my time.
So time blocking.
Not necessarily time blocking, but just like, I've been trying to really track down like where the majority of my business comes from and focus more on that and really kind of double down on that so that I'm not spending as much time. Or I'm spending a comparable amount of time, but getting in more business. So I've been reevaluating what my year is gonna look like.
How's it looking?
Really good so far, but, I'm not disappointed.
Good. Just keep trucking on.
I'm brand new at this, so I'm just absorbing. all of
That's
it.
a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah.
Wow.
It's like drinking from a, what they say, a fire hose.
Overwhelming, I was telling you, saying like, this is so much, and he's telling you. One thing at a time, get through one thing, and then move to the next.
Have you read the book, The One Thing?
Uh,
You
I
should
wrote
read
it.
it. You should read it. I've read it probably 2 or 3 times. Probably one of the best real estate books, I think.
Yeah.
It was written, yeah. They did a good job on it. It says, how will your behaviors be different going forward? Wait, did I read that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. What tools, models, or systems will you use and how will they make you accountable?
Then you think Create, because when I first signed in, it gave me tasks that needed done, but I can add my own and I can set deadlines on. When you sign in, you know, I go straight to that. This, and then I don't leave until I do.
Yeah, you got 5 kids?
Yeah.
During the day,
Yeah, today's the last day of school, so,
so you're gonna be busy.
yeah,
So your work is probably gonna consist 2 to 3 hours before they get up and 2, 3 hours after they go to bed there.
I just leave, I have to.
Yeah. Like,
Because
you're like before and after.
the
right?
she'll get, I do. It's not,
Hey, coffee helps.
well, it's milk with a little coffee.
She's like 6 years old. She's like, oh, she's slamming the shots like stressing the morning.
It's in that creamers, 13. She thinks she's had it.
Steamer almost now.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. So you're gonna definitely, I mean, everybody needs systems, but with the amount of kids that are gonna be pulling you in every direction.
Yeah.
Be afraid.
it'll be fun. It's hard for everybody, and it's our busiest season, and then we got kids, all my kids are out of school too, or now, I mean, this, today, our team's upstate, I think.
Today's the last day.
Decided I'm gonna make my kids work with me this summer. My daughter likes doing it. She's 7. She loves being in the office. She likes, so I'm gonna make her, I'm gonna get her some clothes for work. And then have a son that's 15 that I'm gonna make him work. Learn how to,
I did that with door knocking.
that's what he's gonna be doing.
Yeah, I made little clips to go on the doorknob and they ran up and did it. If people were in the yard, they went, Mike, in the car, and then wave, and it gives them something to do. And it gives people some way to remember you.
Yeah,
You know, if you're gonna do an open house, hand out those things and, oh, yeah. People think that's cute.
They're more apt to get the door too. I don't know, it's like if your kid is supposed to, like you're standing up there.
Yeah. It's a little awkward sometimes. Answer the door. That's one person.
But it should work.
Just always make sure you remember, if you have something to give somebody, you always put it out. Because 99% of the time, their instinct is to grab what you're hitting.
Right.
Don't have something by your side, always have it out like this to hand to them. It's like business cards. I joke around the store sometimes just to have fun. Somebody will be walking off and I said, oh, excuse me, man, you dropped this. She's like, checking, she turns around, I hand her she grabs and she looks at it,
Cute. I mean, I.
rolls her eyes and walks off, you know?
Yeah. But guarantees she kept it
But
because.
for sure.
She thought that guy's got a funny personality if I ever want.
I've gotten calls from them before for buyers and listing by doing that, but anyway, you know,
That's
just
funny.
trying to get your card out there. So yeah, systems. And I mean, you get accountability partners, in my experience in the business, that's not always consistent. I'm not saying they're not out there. I haven't experienced it. I've been a horrible accountability partner, so people have been not great. So I think holding yourself accountable is probably gonna be the go-to. All right. Success system.
Yep, so I'll help cover this.
Yeah.
You guys know the drill. It's, making 20 calls, 20 contacts added to your database, okay? And then handwritten notes. And as you heard from Melissa, there's power in having the handwritten notes. And then enrichments, some ideas, if you can go preview homes. Maybe set up an appointment with someone from title or a lender. Get some information. I think this is really, really important. Attend open houses. And speaking of open houses, we have an open house opportunity for Sunday in Anchorage, if anyone would like it. It is, let me pull it up, Cora's listing at 3921 Stargazer Circle. And I believe it's listed for over 800,000. What did she say? 850,000. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home, 2,800 square feet. And so, yeah, if anyone wants that opportunity, reach out to Cora Carlson directly. It looks like a beautiful home. I have a picture here if you guys want to see.
Wow.
It's a really, really pretty house. So yeah, there's an opportunity right there. Nick, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your insights and wisdom. Do you guys have any questions for him? How about you guys on Zoom? How are we doing?
Doing good.
Awesome. Awesome, great. Well, Nicholas, thank you so much. Bravo, so, yep, he's gonna make phone calls,
While I'm doing this class, so I'm like, I'm gonna go do an hour and then have a 3 o'clock, so.
beautiful.
You guys wanna step in and look at what cold calls look like?
Yes, so there's an opportunity, you know, after this class, we'll probably wrap it up a little early, but I do wanna take an opportunity to ask you guys, you know, what challenges are you having right now? Anything mindset wise, any challenges with, anything as far as calls, like, let's talk this out. Because if, you know, if you open up and you're vulnerable and say, this is my current challenge, I can guarantee you someone else in this room is facing the exact same challenge. Or maybe it's something that I've faced too, even currently. Like, and when we talked about mindset, or we talk about like, gosh, you know, but this irks me, it's hard to let it go, and it's easy for us to say, let it go.
Yeah.
But we've been through it ourselves, and it is a process. But once we're on the other side of it, it's like, wow, okay, you know what? It gets easier. So we're constantly practicing shaking it off. I don't wanna say we get thicker skin, but we just learn about, okay, wow, this is how I'm showing up, how I'm reacting.
Yeah.
And it's a notice. That's all we do. It's a notice. And then we can shed that, and the next time it happens, it's like, you're not as deep in the weeds the next time. Okay, so I'll pause here. Let's start with Zoom. You guys on Zoom, what challenges do you have, or mindset blocks can we talk about that I can help you with?
I have a hard time getting overwhelmed with like where to start with building systems, because it's kind of like, oh, I need to build my database, but I need to get my mailers going, but I need to figure out how to get my like auto emails. So it's just kind of like there's so many little micro steps to get going. I just don't know where to start.
Okay, but do you have people in your database right now?
Yeah. Not, I mean, I probably have like 30% of what I should have, but you know, based on my contact list and my phone and my network.
Okay, and so here's what I will say about that. We're gonna build on that every day, so 20 a day. And so that's going to always be a constant. And you're going to always look at that as like, okay, great, I've made progress. You know, you're entering things in your database every day.
Okay.
So that's going to be a constant, right?
Mhm.
And then the next step would be to create that smart plan to get in contact with these people. So once you start putting them in, now you're going to get into the habit of tagging them. Like, are these people that you've met? Are these people that you haven't met? Okay. Because the ones you haven't met, maybe they're a Facebook lead and they're just inquiring about, you know, information. So people you have not met. And then other people that you have met, you've had belly to belly conversations with. And then people that you've closed transactions with, I put those in as my VIPs.
Mhm.
So I communicate with those 3 groups differently. So we're gonna break it down into tinier pieces. So right now you're putting people in your database, and now as you're doing it, start to tag them. Okay. And then you're going to go ahead and create a smart plan. And make sure that you communicate with them. And so put them on a smart plan right away. And have you created a smart plan already? Or
I haven't really created one, and like as I'm listening to you, it's kind of, I think maybe what I should be doing is because I use command for all this. So if I put
Yes.
someone in command, I should just instantly do the like smart plan, but I just like haven't explored that and I'm not sure what to sign people up for.
Okay.
So last night I
Well,
ended up like adding myself so I could kind of see what's received.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I think that's great. And so what I'll do is, I'll make sure to set aside some time tomorrow so we can talk about that.
that'd be great.
Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So tomorrow, that's something I'd like to talk about, like, okay, so now that you put people in, how are you going to create the SMART plan to get them going? And that's where I'd like you to start, Holland.
Yeah, that would be
Because
great.
then that's your touch plan. And then it'll also create tasks for you to be able to call them. And then
Mhm.
now you're just getting in the habit. Remember, maybe you were dialed in, hopefully, for Lance's talk, but we were having a little bit technical difficulty when Lance Davis was here. But ultimately he said, oh, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. I have to pace because then it helps me think. Ultimately, we were talking about smart plan. Oh, Lance talked about this. Wow, that thought just went away. I think what I was trying to say is we will go through that. Ultimately, your goal is to be able to see these tasks that come up and then just do them, chisel through them. And these smart plans will come up with like, okay, call this person, or okay, and the periodic touches that come up as far as calling them, or it'll automatically send an email out. So, oh, that's what it was. I remember now. So Lance basically said, right now it's going to feel like hairy, scary because you have all kind of like the overwhelm of like, have to set up all of these things right now. And it feels really, really busy. Or when you're forming a new habit, this is what Lance said. When you're forming a new habit, and he said this specifically for when he needed to make these calls or finish these tasks before he left for the day. It felt kind of big and hard and heavy, but then once he got into the going and doing, and he got used to it and comfortable, it's basically like getting into new skin. You're comfortable in the new skin, and it doesn't feel as challenging. So I hope that helps. And tomorrow I'll make sure that we set aside time to help talk through what that would look like. Okay,
Thank you. Yeah.
you're welcome. Hey, anybody else on Zoom? What challenges are you facing that you're willing to share to help the group?
All right, can you hear me loud and clear?
I can. Thank you, Toby.
Perfect. So my issue is that I don't have a hard time giving the calls and, really getting into it and putting in the work, and delegating that. But my issue is just making sure that I'm doing that the most proficient way that I possibly can, and really utilizing these scripts and knowing when there's such a thing as going too far, and like, knowing my boundaries when I'm really nurturing these leads.
Tell me more.
In the sense, like with some of the leads that I've been contacting here recently, like knowing, I feel like they're kind of vague of what they're wanting, or they're kind of feeling bouncy right now, and knowing how consistently I need to contact them. Let's say, if I need to put them on a plan where it needs to be on a weekly, or if I need to give them more space monthly. And, when I do give that communication, like, is it okay that if I send you something weekly or monthly, that they are not giving me a clear indication of anything?
Mm-hmm. Do you know what their motivation is at this point in the conversation?
I guess at the case by case, some people are just really wanting to look around, or a lot of people who are out of states wanting to move here. But, you know, knowing what they have to work with, having to sell their home currently, and just the difference in the market of how more expensive the market is here of what they're trying to sell back home currently.
Mhm. So if it's a case by case basis, this is the way I would answer that. I think what's really, really important is that you ask more questions and dig deeper to their motivation. As far as like time, like why are they looking for a home? Tell me more about that. Oh, like if it's really important to them that, you know, they're just looking, well, great, what's causing you to move? And or want to start searching. And maybe even just coming out and asking, like, I just want to make sure that I match your motivation. So I want to move as quickly as you do. And I certainly don't, and this is what I tell clients. I want to make sure that I mirror your motivation. So if you're ready to move right now, great. I want to make sure that I'm on it. I'm able to send you information that's going to be helpful right now. But if you're just looking, I also want to honor that. So can you give me an idea of what is motivating you? What would motivate you to buy something tomorrow?
Okay, yeah.
And then shut up. Just be quiet and let them talk. Because oftentimes we're like, okay, we have to think of the next question. And then we start talking and we talk ourselves out of a conversation rather than quietly holding space and allowing the silence to do the heavy lifting.
I think one thing that the self-recognition that I need to work on is just asking the smarter, better question in it. You know, instead of asking too many questions, really just asking a better, thorough, single question that really gets it all.
Yeah. So what would cause them to move tomorrow? Like what is that factor? Is it price? Is it finding the right house? Great. And I don't think sometimes there can be too much communication, but I think ultimately, depending on how old this lead is or what they're looking for, hey, I'd love to put you on a listing alert. Are you okay receiving, you know, listings as soon as something hits, just in case it's the right fit? Or, you know, or maybe you just happen to schedule time where you take a look at the MLS and you find something and ask them permission. Say, hey, is it all right if I just reach out and check in periodically? There's no pressure. I just really would like to just check in and see if anything's changed.
Awesome. The only other issue that I could think of personally with myself is that I talk way too fast. Because I have ADHD, so I want to tell you everything at once. And really slowing myself down and being like going in a sequence that flows smoothly.
So maybe it might be helpful to start off asking that one question and then pausing and allowing yourself to sit on your hands. And then slowing down and asking, mirror and match their tone of voice.
Perfect.
So, and then we'll get into personality types. Have you studied the DISC yet? You know the DISC?
Curly went through the disc yet, no.
Okay, perfect. We will be going through the DISC. This is talking about like different personality types. And in reality, it really just helps guide you on how to best communicate with the person on the other side. Because there are the ones who are very direct. There are people who are very indirect. There are people who are very feely. And people who are very information driven. So this will help you. And you just have to know who you're talking to and how to curb your language to be able to mirror and match them. Okay, does that help?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Good. Good. All right, do we still have Brian here? Brian, how are you doing?
I do not believe Brian is in the Zoom anymore.
Okay. No problem. All right, how about you guys here? Any thoughts, any challenges?
I'm just kind of where Holland's at with like getting overwhelmed with things. But as a child, just start with one thing, or whatever they said. You know, don't look at the big picture.
Yep.
So,
So right now, the homework is having those conversations and then putting context into the database. Now you know you can hop onto command and tag them. You can even tag them in your phone if you're not in command quite yet. Just start tagging them. Sometimes like every time I have someone who's a realtor, I'm like, realtor.
Yeah.
I'm taking a note, there's a notes section where I can just like keep little notes on things. Social media. Start there, like, have a set time when you do it. You know, we talked about creating that bunker and time blocking too, so. Just try to do that, little bite-sized pieces. And then set a time for, this is when I'm gonna create this part of my business or work on the business and then work in the business. Okay, so, I know it can feel overwhelming, but now that you're just in setup mode, so just little bite-sized pieces of, okay, I'm giving myself this much time to set this up, and then you stop, and then make sure, first and foremost, that it's lead generation. Everything else will fall into place eventually. Okay? You're good? How are we feeling?
Good, I'm just thinking kind of the same thing you are, like all the basic things that I need to set up even my voicemail, I took that even off my phone,
Mhm.
you know, so, just basic things.
Yeah.
And the command, thinking about that.
Yeah.
Is it just as simple as like going on my laptop and typing in kw.command? Or what is it?
Let me just with Brian so we can get you set up, because I want you set up today.
Wait, I've been talking.
That way you can just have all your all your contacts imported.
And then, and all the, I think I already asked you this, but there's training and all kinds of stuff all out of command.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be able to access like videos and other information as well. So, okay, so you guys know what your homework is. Just make sure to do it because it's gonna help you. And then if you have any questions or need any support, I don't even know if I gave you guys my number. Let me give that to you and then we'll wrap it up. Sorry, we went a little over. My phone number, and again, I'm Sharon Shaw, and my phone number is 907-371-6521. And so if I ever call you and comes from like a Fairbanks phone number, I used to live up in North Pole, so that's why. So, yeah, just give me a call if you have any questions. Otherwise,
Call me too.
oh yes,
Right here.
Amanda Charles, she's amazing.
Too.
Yes, yes, and okay, so tomorrow we'll be meeting 9:30 in Anchorage and we'll be covering the next two modules. Tomorrow, we're also having, immediately after class, we end at 1:30 with Ignite. We're going to be having a barbecue. And this is an opportunity to meet the ALC. These are top producers who are volunteering their time and sitting as heads of committee. Amanda Charles is the head of the education committee. And I sit on, so she's the chair and, we're in that committee with her, or I am. And so, yeah, so you'll get to meet everybody. They will be a great resource, for any information and questions you have. But
And I'm sorry, you said that's right after class?
yes, right after class there in Anchorage, we'll be having barbecue and then you get to meet the ALC and then they're going to break into their monthly ALC meeting. And you're welcome to sit and listen to like, what are they discussing? It's basically like the good of the order for the company. And they have several different oh gosh, the words aren't coming. Different groups. So we have like culture committee, they are the ones who helped coordinate Red Day. And then we have the finance committee, and a whole bunch of others, but we'll get to meet them tomorrow and learn more about that, what that is. Okay. All right. Good luck today and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.